This minority in Parliament condemns national security raid on the private residence of former Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison. We have details of the latest press conference.
In our Ghana Month series, we explore the DSO's intriguing cultural taboo prohibiting goats and dogs in the community. Hello there, you're welcome to News Central. I'm Kemini Amano.
And I am Mawinite Beta. The bulletin starts right now.
Now, the minority in Parliament has condemned what they call raiding of the house of former Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Philip Addison in Accra. Leader of the caucus, Alexander Penyumakin, says the act is a deliberate attempt to intimidate and frustrate former government appointees and called on President Mahama to ensure such acts are stopped with immediate effect.
Minority caucus is here to express its concerns about the growing lawless conduct of our national security operatives who the government has unleashed on opponents, particularly the MPP appointees of former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The aim of this is to intimidate and frustrate them. We've heard of some raids, and in some cases, these so-called security operatives rob these officials when they are leaving their premises. First was a raid on the home of the former finance minister, Ken Oforiatta, led by one Jakpa, Richard Jakpa, a known NDC activist who describes himself as Director of Operations at the National Security. The majority leader, when this matter came before Parliament, apologized on the floor of the House in respect of this lawless conduct. At dawn yesterday, specifically at 5 a.m., Mr. Richard Jakpa was at it again. This time, he led armed men to the residence of Dr. Addison, the former governor of the Central Bank. According to Jakpa, he had a warrant to search the premises of Dr. Addison at his Roman Ridge residence. Again, when Dr. Addison inquired from him, he told him that he was looking for a vault, which to them, the man had some money, cash in it. They forced their way, overpowered the security, and entered his premises. This Rambo-style approach must cease. This is the first time in the history of our country that a governor of a central bank is being subjected to such a treatment, very traumatizing. In fact, at the end of their raid, they could not find anything. Unfortunately for the governor, some 10,000 cedis on his bed could not be found. So some of these hungry party foot soldiers that they use, who parade themselves as national security operatives, after all, perhaps not even being paid, and they use this opportunity to steal. The governor's wife's earrings and necklaces were also not traced. They couldn't be found. In other words, those operatives stole these earrings and necklaces. Ghana is a mature democracy, and we should do better. 3 cars, official vehicles of the governor were also taken away, only to be informed later that they've been parked somewhere, so he should send his drivers to go and pick them. Around 4:30, a call came from this same Richard Jakpa. Now, the question is, why this? Like we indicated earlier, our country has no room for lawlessness. These actions undermine democracy and weighing down investor confidence. If you have people investing in your country and they see these things happening to appointees, obviously it will lead to capital flight. Even the citizens of Ghana will not feel safe. They will withdraw from the financial sector. They will not keep their money here, and that would affect governance and the growth of our economy. We call on government to quickly bring a stop to these dastardly acts. These acts of intimidation and terror are relics of the past.
Alexander Apenyo-Makin is minority leader. Now, Deputy Presidential Spokesperson Shamima Muslim says the Mahama administration will apply the law to ensure that persons of interest who have questions to answer are taken through due process. Reacting to the raid on the private residence of the former Bank of Ghana governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, Shamima Muslim stated on New Day that the NDC will ensure accountability for persons who may have done wrong.
Don't come and tell us that even if you did this, should we continue? Did you do it? Can you tell us that you did it? And can you tell us the mistakes the lessons you've learned from that mistake? Do you even accept that it was a mistake? They don't. They don't, my dear sister. And you know it for a fact that they usually don't. In all of these conversations we have had about transitions, about, how government, uses its powers when they are, investigating matters, they never, about letting go some stuff, right. Even after you had given them, indication that stop these illegal promotions and illegal employment. Right. We gave them respectfully through the medium of a statement that we have heard these things happening. Stop them. What did they do? They parried it and saying is that the reset agenda is on course. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is a leader with conscience. At all times, he wishes to shepherd this nation with little chaos and with little distraction as much as is humanly possible. There will be times that maybe in the execution of some, due process, there might be some missteps. We are not a party to not recognize when mistakes are made and redress them. But what we can tell the general public is that there's really a new heart to leadership, a heart that is very in tune with the people that it's leading, and a heart that wants the best for this nation and wants to, lead a nation that is fair and just and equitable to all Ghanaians, even those that may be found on the wrong side of the law. Because even convicted criminals have rights.
That's right.
That must always be respected and enforced. And so you will not have the person of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to seem to be flagrantly abusing rights of citizens. It won't happen. It won't happen. But due process will happen. Individuals who are individuals of interest will be pursued in all the available, options to the security agencies to gather their intelligence and to take the necessary action. So we can bring the accountability that we promised the good people of Ghana, for which they voted us into power by such a resounding mandate.
Shamima Muslim is Deputy Presidential Spokesperson. Now, this afternoon we are hearing from the Deputy Attorney General that this search on the home of the former governor of the central bank was sanctioned, legally sanctioned by the court. He's also been clarifying that in days to come, they will properly prosecute people who have fallen foul as far as the oral team's report is concerned. We can take a listen to Justice Shermsai. Well, my understanding is that we do not have that at the moment. We'll bring you that shortly. In the meantime, let's speak with Richard Kumado, who's a fraud and security consultant and works with the NIB for years now. Richard, good afternoon to you. The NIB arrests and search teams are required to introduce themselves or announce their presence. Now, we understand that they had a search warrant from the court. How do you view this protocol in the context of the recent search on the governor of the central bank, former governor of the central bank?
Let's put it in proper perspective. It wasn't the BNI who entered the house of the governor. It was security operatives from the National Security Secretariat. But even if it is the BNI, or which you call the NIB, they may search your premises or arrest you with or without warrant. And once they have warrant, it means that you have come under some level of investigation interest. And what they do is that they will announce their interest, and they will announce their presence, and they will tell you who they are, and invariably introduce themselves. That is the standard protocol. And I believe and I have trust in the BNI that they will apply due diligence and uphold themselves to accountable procedure. From the narratives we are hearing so far, I think there's a bit of a misinformation out there, and we will need to put it in perspective. I know the BNI granted bail to the former lands minister and also granted bail to the former finance minister. But in the case of the governor, we will need to put it to perspective. If they invaded his house, or they raided his house, or they entered his house, they will know that these guys are from the BNI because they will announce their presence and they would announce why.
Absolutely, absolutely. And which is why I want us to take a listen to what we are getting from the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Shermsai.
Concerns are on two sides. There are a group of people who believe that the AG is actually being slow. And there's another group of people who are of the view that the AG is being aggressive. I mean, last night there were some searches conducted in some homes, and the views are divided. But I would like to assure the public that we are, as much as we can, pursuing persons who are believed or are suspected to have looted, state assets, being money or other properties. We are committed, and work is going on day and night for that to be done. Most importantly, we are also doing so within the framework of rule of law, because as you may know, there have been instances in the past where persons who are suspected have been treated, have been arrested in manners that don't comply with the rule of law, where violation of human rights and other laws have been broken just because people are suspected. We've also witnessed instances where people have been put on trial for years without any evidence and without any conviction, without any trial. And they wake up, go to court, and they are just spending money on lawyers. We are determined, and when I say we, I mean my boss, the Attorney General. He is of the view, his policy is that he will not put anyone before any court without having sufficient evidence to prosecute a person. So the reason the reason for the delay we are seeing, or what most of the public are seeing as delay, is that we are making sure that we get the right. We get it right. We get the evidence before we put someone in court. We are not in the business, or we will not be in the business of putting people before the court and now seeking permission to go and now look for the evidence. At least we must have what we call sufficient evidence to be able to put people before criminal court.
Council, so you're saying the searches, including the BOG, former BOG governor, was sanctioned by your office?
So the offices, there are so many. So if you look at how government works, we work with other institutions and people submit, complaints. So, but every search that you see, is part of the government framework to fight the corruption, and we take responsibility for the search that are happening, and we want to make it clear that those searches and the mode in which they were done in accordance with law. Warrants were procured and warrants were used to conduct those searches.
Dr. Justice Rimsai is Deputy Attorney General. Richard, so there you have it. The Deputy Attorney General says due process was followed, warrants were secured, and warrants were used in these searches, in reference to last night's search. Your take on this?
No, I think we're getting so many things wrong in this country. If it is the usual NDC NPP policy, then let's say so. Do we want the state to investigate crime and crime-related cases? Is a different matter. Do we want investigation bodies to investigate, which includes arrest and search? Then we have to stay that way. But to suggest that the BNI officers will enter your premises and steal your jewelry and many of those things, I think it is absurdity to the highest level.
Well, we do not know that for sure. That is the that is the accusation.
That is what we allow. Hold on. That is what we allow a politician to stay on air. And this is the institution we work in, and we will defend it with our blood. This institution is a professional institution. They wouldn't walk into your house and steal your jewelry. Come on. Let's stop that nonsense. If it is about the NDC NPP policies, then let's say it. Other than that, I can tell you for a fact that if the BNI has a search warrant, or they don't, and they enter your premises, they will announce themselves, they will tell you why they are there, and they will tell you the search they are there to do. And that is what it is. If it is the officers from the National Security Secretariat, then they would need to speak for themselves. Other than that, we are getting too many things wrong, and I think it wouldn't order well for our democracy. In every democracy, rule of law, accountability, and people have to be held responsibility for functions they have discharged. And I believe that in democracy, if people feel their rights have been abused, they have the right to go to court. But to put out a falsehood and to lie that the BNI stole your jewelry, your money, no, I think that is far below the best.
Richard, I appreciate you talking to us. Always a pleasure. Richard Kumado is a security analyst.
So live here on News Central, we're bringing you more stories right now from the quarters of the presidency, who is starting a thank you tour in the northern part of the country. And that's where we're taking you right now, the Upper East region to be specific, where President John Mahama is expected this afternoon as he embarks on a thank you tour following his electoral victory last December. As part of the tour, the president is also expected to make stops in the northern region, where he will continue his mission to strengthen ties with his supporters and highlight his administration's plans for the future. The tour is seen as an opportunity for the president to reconnect with the people and address some key regional concerns, as well as to reaffirm his commitment to the development of these areas. Kamala Kluche is our presidential affairs correspondent. He's there for us right now. Let's try and get a sense of really what's happening. Kamala, where exactly is this Grand Debar expected? What can you tell us?
Well, we're coming to you from the Jubilee Center, the Jubilee Park here in the Bolgatanga municipality of the Upper East region. You would recall the president has been doing some thank you tours across the country. So far, he's done the Volta region, has done the Central region, he's also done the Western region. So 3 regions out of the 16 regions that he's been doing. But whilst on campaign, there were some specific promises the president made with specifics to some of the regions. But in focus, the Upper East region, the issue of security remains very key, especially the Boku conflict remains very key on the minds of the president. You also recall that, you know, just shortly after the president was sworn into office, he quickly dashed to the Boku enclave where he met with the Boku Naba regarding the issue of the security in the region. Well, what is quite clear is that Just shortly after that, we have seen sporadic incidents and some amount of death as well. The security situation continues to remain quite a fluid one, and it's unclear what the direction is, even though the president has made some commitment to it. What, however, is quite key, the people are expecting, is to the effect that, well, the president has made those, or give those assurances. They would want to find out what he will be speaking to with respect to security. When it comes to agriculture, we know he's spoken about the farmer service centers, how the region will play a key role in that. There were specific roles that he said he was going to construct in the budget. We did not necessarily find those fine details in there, but some allocation has been made to the road ministry regarding the construction of roads and all that. The expectation is that as the president is speaking, he will speak to these issues, and also to the fact that some number of his appointees come from the region. Attorney, the Minister for Justice and Attorney General is from the region here as well. There are other people who form the cabinet are from this region. The expectation is that they would use this to leverage, you know, on the poverty within the region, and also how they'll be able to up themselves in terms of the development of the region. We are only expecting those details to be coming from the president when he gets here. The program is scheduled to start at 2 p.m., but many people, the camera can just do a panning around. The place is getting filled up. Security is quite tight in the Bolgatanga municipality right here in the Upper East region.
Kamala, it's interesting you mentioned the security situation as well in Boku and all. We know that there's been concerns of it spiraling into other areas. Yesterday, the majority leader as well had cause to complain about some military brutality within the constituency and the area as well. What's been the insider conversations in the lead up to the president's arrival? Yes, you've mentioned his promise to end that decade-plus long chieftaincy dispute in the Boku municipality, but in the background where people are expecting him to come forth, what are some of the insider conversations that are coming up, even as a lot more people continue to gather?
Well, many people do agree with the sentiment expressed by the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, on the brutalities from the military allegedly. We do not have any evidence to that. But yes, of course, this is coming from the majority leader and a leader for government business of the John Mahama administration. It would only be a prudent thing to hear the president possibly speaking to that. But the conversation around is to the effect that with the onset of this administration, these human rights abuses and these concerns that people are expressing should not be part of what the government of John Mahama really is going to be giving to the people. They expect that lasting peace will come back. But even with our entry into the region, you will visibly see the military all through to almost the entrance of the region after the Wale side there. Even they give escort to most of the vehicles that ply that lane towards the northern side of the country. And so the expectation is that the president would be speaking to that. As to whether the fine details of whether he'll be speaking to the brutality by the military, we do not know. But the people do expect that some space they would have in terms of moving about and doing their normal business would come to pass, and they would once again live together as a people. But we can only wait to see what the president will be saying to the people.
Quickly, Komla, after today and the Jubilee Park in Bolgatanga, where next for the president? Because we know this is expected to be 3 days.
So the president tomorrow would quickly dash off to the Ashanti region, and he will be holding, or he will be launching the Tree for Life. That is one of the initiatives intended to do with respect to reclamation. The Tree for Life, he would be launching a project to that nature. in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, tomorrow. Then he will return to the northern region, where he will also be holding a grand durbar to mark the thank you tour of the northern region as well. And so these are the itineraries for the president whilst he's up north here doing his thank you tour and also interacting with the people.
Kamala, thank you as always for the details. That's Kamala Kluche, presidential affairs correspondent in the Upper East Regional capital of Bolgatanga, where they are awaiting the arrival of the president on the first day of his thank you tour of the northern part of the country.
In our Ghana Month series, we delve into the traditions that enrich our nation's diverse communities. Today, we venture into Dadieso in the Swaman district of the Western North region, where an intriguing cultural taboo has long fascinated observers: the prohibition of goats and dogs in that community. Our colleague, Irama Smith, is in Dadieso, uncovering the centuries-old story behind this tradition.
Dadieso, the district capital of the Swaman District Assembly, a community renowned for its rich history and steadfast traditions. As we explore the area, a notable observation is that while livestock such as sheep and poultry are common, goats are conspicuously missing. So is man's very good friend, the dog. We learn that for generations, the rearing of these animals have been strictly prohibited here. Seeking to understand the roots of this taboo, we inquire from this group of youth gathered in front of this cocoa shed.
Growing up, we were aware of certain taboos, but unfortunately the implications and consequences were never fully explained to us.
Like me,
My mother also shared with me that rearing goats and dogs are prohibited in our area. I never bothered to ask because it's a long-standing tradition that we've grown up with. We are expected to respect and comply with it.
The youth are generally at a loss, so we seek out Nana Kwesianto, the Apamhene and revered custodian of Swaman Dadieso's history. He reveals that the community's ancestors forged a sacred pact with the land and spirit, declaring goats and dogs forbidden to preserve peace and harmony.
In the past, when chiefs had to fight to secure their lands, they would perform rituals to ensure the prosperity and growth of their communities. Our chief, Nana Dugujegu Brichum II, made the sacrifice of goats and dogs to protect our community. From that day onward, the rearing of these two animals has been prohibited in our area.
Nana Kwesianto is emphatic that this ancestral decree is non-negotiable and so is strictly adhered to.
Consequently, whenever community elders encounter goats, they order them to be slaughtered immediately. In some cases, the owner of the animal may also face fines as penalty.
He also reveals that for strangers who flout the taboo, the elders initially issue a warning. This is then followed by some drastic rituals if the person continues to disobey.
If a stranger unknowingly brings a goat into our community, we first approach them and politely ask them to remove it. However, if they refuse to comply and insist on challenging our tradition, we are left with no choice but to order the animal to be slaughtered.
As modernity gradually makes its presence felt, Dadieso remains steadfast in its commitment to tradition. For the community, this centuries-old taboo is not a constraint, but a badge of honor, a vital link between their revered past and vibrant present. Irama Smith, TV3 News, Dadieso.
Well, now you know more about that community where you can take goats or dogs. You're still live here on TV3. This is News Central. Still to come. We'll take you to the Ashanti region, bring you the very latest on that election petition on 3 constituencies in the Ashanti region. You want to stay with us? Please don't go away.
So live here on News Central, and we promise we're going to bring you some petitions in relation to the NDC following the elections from last year. But we're taking you to Parliament for starters because the appointment committee there is currently vetting the newly appointed Administrator General of the District Assembly Common Fund, Harry Michael Yamson. Let's take you to Parliament right now for brief details as to what's happening.
It is a project that I believe is a positive continuation of efforts that date back to 2002.
He answered the question. The view, he said that is a positive project.
So if you say it's a positive project, then you definitely need to, you need to, appreciate and thank the former administrator and the former president for bringing this initiative. So when you just bring your view, you are saying that the government did well.
Honorable Habib.
Madam Natoshi did excellent.
Honorable Habib, you are out of order. I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Elifuli Makuru.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
Yes, so I have gone through your CV, and I have seen that in the private sector, you are well experienced. So I have no doubt that this mantle that has been given to you, are going to perform very well. But I have a question. Every year, a number of financial malpractices and losses are reported at the MMDs. With your experience in the private sector, how do you intend to ensure transparency and prevent mismanagement at the District Assembly Common Fund?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I indicated earlier, I do believe that there are modern tools that allow us, applications, AI, that allow us to better interrogate our numbers far more sharply than in the past was available to us. I've been at the DACF a week now, and it's been apparent to me that we cannot run a 7 billion fund essentially off Excel. We need sharper tools. Number one. Number two, when we spend money at the DACF, we look to make an impact on the quality of education, the quality of health, the quality of roads, the quality of access to water that people in our districts enjoy. In no way a criticism, but as I said, newer tools will give us a sharper view to understand better how much of the money we spend actually translates into a more positive change in the lives of the citizens in our various districts. We have always done monitoring as a DACF. We have increased the amount of monitoring that is being done under my predecessor. I believe monitoring was increased to 6 times a year. And that is good. What we need to do is to improve the ability of the center to interrogate its own activities and the expenditure that takes place at the districts from funds that it supplies. So monitoring will help us always to establish the facts on the ground. But I believe that better technological tools will help us understand better the effectiveness of how we are spending money. In the end, we're able to deliver more and better resources to our districts.
That's the administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, Michael Harry Yamson, currently before the Appointments Committee of Parliament. We'll move away from that and bring you some other stories right now through Regional Hub.
The Kumasi High Court has set aside NDC's application for substituted service after lawyers of the first respondents in a parliamentary election petition case filed a motion to that effect. The court's decision was based on grounds that due process was not followed in acquiring the service. The ruling party is contesting the 2024 parliamentary results for Obuasi East, Ahafwano North and Ahafwano Southwest in the Ashanti region. Well, let's get the very latest from court. Ibrahim Abubakar is our correspondent following the story. Ibrahim, good afternoon to you. What else can you report from court today?
Well, so it was a brief session, and basically what transpired means that the NDC petitioners, so I would say their lawyers will have to go back, redraft everything, and reserve the lawyers for the respondents about their suit, because you know, initially, the initial concern was that they were trying to track them and it was to no avail. So they came to the High Court to seek order for substituted service, of which they were granted. And later it came out that the procedure that they used in seeking the service was not duly done, because by the law, it is stated that you have to track the person or go to the person's office thrice. If still you are unable to locate the person, then you can go ahead, secure this substituted service, and post it wherever you deem fit. But they went there twice, they didn't go there for the third time. And they intended to even paste some of these notices in front of the parliament and also at their office. And this, according to lawyers, for the respondents, breaches the constitution that even says that if a member of parliament is on its way to the office, you cannot serve him. So today they came to court, and the court decided that this substituted service be set aside. They have to follow the due process, serve the lawyers well, and then file their application for injunction when they come on 4th March. So basically, this was what happened. But after the court, we engaged with lawyers of the respondents and also that of the petitioners. Let's listen to what they have been telling us.
Ibrahim, we'll listen a little later, but does this mean the case is halted until the service is delivered?
Well, for now, we can say that so. They have to refile or reserve the lawyers for the respondents, and the court says on March 4, they should return to the High Court for the case to be heard. That is, even we are starting with the application for the injunction.
Indeed, Ibrahim, I appreciate you talking to us. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent.
Now, some officers of the Ghana Police Service have been trained on the concept and philosophy of community policing. Here is a report by correspondent Ibrahim Wangara.
The Ghana Police Service established the Community Police Unit in June 2002 with the aim of involving community members in assisting with the discharge of their mandated duties. Community policing focuses on building strong relationships between the police and the communities they serve. President John Dramani Mahama, at the swearing-in ceremony of the new Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yohono, on Friday, March 14, tasked the IGP with focusing on community policing.
Intelligence-led policing, community engagement, and effective deployment of modern technology must be at the core of our law enforcement strategy. Our officers must be well-trained, well-equipped, and motivated to serve with excellence. One critical area that requires immediate attention is the relationship between the police service and the communities in which they serve. Public trust in law enforcement is essential. Without it, effective policing becomes difficult. The concept of community policing must be strengthened. The police must be seen not as an intimidating force, but as a partner in crime prevention, safety, and development.
In the Upper West region, the police command has undertaken training for personnel in the community policing philosophy.
We are shifting away from the concept of being a reactionary force. Reactionary force means that let the problem happen before we go and take action. And that has always not paid well. We have realized that the energy involved in doing all these things could be saved if we focus on this new concept called community policing.
The training is funded by the European Union with support from Cogenta.
So the community policing strategy is basically a philosophy and also a strategy that says that, look, we cannot provide security for people without them. Every community is different. In one community, it may be armed robbery. In another community, it may be cattle rustling. In another community, it's a different thing. And how do we work together with the Ghana Police Service to reduce these crimes so that the average person can go to sleep in peace?
An officer at the Golu police station, Lance Corporal Ernestina Mate, spoke about the impact the training will have on her work.
And this will help me to go to my community to build a relationship so that we'll get to know more of the issues which are hidden through the relationship and educate them more on how to prevent crimes.
The community policing concept emphasizes proactive collaboration where law enforcement works closely with citizens to prevent crime, address local issues, and foster a sense of security and trust. Ibrahim Wangara, TV3 News, Upper West Region.
Well, now to the Central Region, where the Regional Minister, Idiamwa Otreye-Kopenyi, has announced the agricultural development of the University of Cape Coast as a key partner for the effective implementation of the NDC's poultry rearing policy, widely known as Nkoko Nkitinkiting. The university will offer technical knowledge and assistance to farmers. According to him, the policy is a viable option to provide sustainable livelihoods for farmers while also serving as an alternative livelihood for illegal miners in that region. Correspondent Akwesi Addo joins us for a bit more on the story. Akwesi, good afternoon to you. What specific role will UCC's Agric Department play in this policy's implementation?
Okay, so the Central Region used to be a hub for the rearing of poultry. Take, for instance, the poultry farm, a very huge poultry farm that was at Gumwa, where President John Dramani Mahama, during his campaign, promised to ensure that he brings back that particular poultry farm. And so, at the back of that, the Central Regional Minister, Idiamwa Otreye-Kopenyi, has been engaging poultry farmers in the region. And so, he did engage the Farmers Association as well as top representatives from the Agric Department of the University of Cape Coast. And according to the minister, the department would be providing technical knowledge as well as support to the farmers to ensure that they are able to keep their birds in a better condition. That would ensure that they get much profit from their venture. And so activities would start to
Akwesi, we can barely hear you. What we'll do is we'll take a listen to the minister while we fix that audio challenge.
So many years old, they expect to get the same yield. It changes must be effective so that I also have the proper yield report that you are getting. And so government is ready, especially with the Nkoko Nkitinkiting. We want all of you to come on board, including journalists. I mean, you can do that as a part-time. You just have to be intentional because it's going to help. But let me say this, that the Nkoko Nkitinkiting program is a recognition of the government, of the role that the smallholder farmers play the contribution they make in this poultry industry, which is why we brought that. And we think that if we can decentralize the poultry activities where many people will be handling 300, 400, 500, to have the 10,000, that is better because then we share the risk. So we are going to play our role. Need for them to join the fight against galamsey is very important because where they are rearing, it is the same water sources that feed their poultry. And so they should be part of us in campaigning, letting people understand. The other side too is that if we're able to convince them, they can come into the industry so that they will have an alternative livelihood. That is very important. Poultry is not a bad business at all. So if we bring them out of the galamsey side, then they come in.
Kwesi, we've just heard the regional minister. The farmers must be elated about this.
Exactly. The farmers are very happy because for them, they have long awaited for the announcement or implementation of such a policy. But what they are requesting is that government integrates their views and then have same implemented when the implementation of the poultry run, that's the Nkokwanketenkete, takes its full effect so that the farmers would be able to generate much income from that. Aside from that, they would also want government to inculcate the spirit of poultry keeping in Ghanaians, starting from the basic level. And so, chairman for the Central Regional Poultry Farmers Association has also been speaking to us.
I'm afraid we can't take a listen to that right now. We'll do so in subsequent broadcasts. Akwesi Ado is our Central Region correspondent.
Now, the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners has called on the government to streamline the operations of the anti-galamsey task force to address concerns regarding extortion faced by some of their members. At a press conference in Kumasi, the small-scale miners urged the government to ensure that only authorized groups are permitted to operate in the fight against illegal mining activities.
Welcoming any operation by the government. We are not saying that the government shouldn't go about on operations. We welcome that, but what we want is that it must be well organized, it must be well informed, and it must be officially done by the government, but not from people who are doing this for their own selfish interests. The Ghana Association of Small-Scale Miners is vowed to assist the government in any endeavor to make sure that we get rid of illegal miners and at the same time ensure the protection of our environment.
I'm going to do machine when I'm 25,000. We are 2 billion. Money 2 billion. I'm so operation and people pay me sorry say me and this organizer. It my bread. It me kwa operation and that's how a 2 and child. And how beba.
And you're so live here on News Central. We're going for yet another break, a quick one. We'll return with some more stories and then take the show home.
Welcome back. Now, Deputy Minister for Education has assured government's commitment to uphold academic freedom within the education sector. Dr. Clement Park said although previous governments nearly interfered with the freedom in academia with the introduction of the Public University Bill, they will safeguard it for the benefit of society.
All public universities in the country have enjoyed a relatively high level of academic freedom. The liberty to teach, publish and disseminate findings from researchers sometimes come along with challenges from government or other internal bodies within the universities. Speaking at the launch of the Africa Coalition for Academic Freedom, ACAF, the Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Clement Park, said government has taken measures to ensure that academic freedom is strengthened.
The government of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has already taken certain measures, such as the no academic fee policy for first-year students in public tertiary institutions and the introduction of the societal interventions, such as the free tertiary education for persons with disability. The Ministry of Education, headed by the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, will do all it can to operationalize the critical recommendations agreed at the forum, including entrenching and promoting academic freedom.
The Dean of the School of Law, University for Professional Studies, Accra, Professor Kofi Abuchi, emphasized the need for academic freedom in academia.
And as we speak of academic freedom, we truly may not be able to overcome the challenges of suppression unless we define the parameters of the relationship that scholars, the universities, ultimately have with government. So when academics are raising their hands, I'm here, I support you. I'm here, I have done a research, we support you. I'm here, I'm giving you information. When academics are the ones who are trying to endear themselves to government. Academics do not churn out scholarship properly so-called. Academics churn out scholarship which is supposed to influence a particular paradigm of thinking.
The regional director for ACAF, Professor Kwejo Apieje Itia, said, although it may seem academics are failing the continent, they rather face a lot of challenges which hinders their ability to deliver.
Where you are facing challenges by the government, not only the government, but even within the university space itself, sometimes the university management can be stumbling blocks. And this includes even the head of department and the deans and so on. We also face challenges even within the classroom. Sometimes students give us challenges.
And that's almost it for us.
Almost,
but just
indeed.
before we go, two quick details coming through. First, the opposition New Patriotic Party, they've just issued a statement directing all party members to desist from making comments that create disaffection within the party's base. And I know why that's coming up. There's been a lot of individuals granting interviews in the last few days, which obviously has kick-started conversations. Then we know as well that the IGP has reinstated regional communications bureaus to be able to provide details to journalists as well. And so two quick details for you as we run out of the studios. So tomorrow is Friday.
Tomorrow is Friday, indeed.
To the weekend starting tomorrow as well. That's our bulletin for you. I am Mawina Egbeta.
Indeed, visit 3news.com for more on those stories Mawina has just spoken about. I'm Kemeni Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.